Hi class, this is Mr. Trez, and in this video we are going to find the y-intercept of a line when we are given the slope and we are given the point on a line. And then we're going to use that slope and y-intercept to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So right off the jump, what is slope-intercept form? Well, the equation for slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Now, what makes this equation special, whenever we see an equation that is written in slope-intercept form, that means that the equation is going to be linear. Okay, the function is going to be linear. That means when we graph that function, when we graph that equation, it's going to be a straight line on the graph. So now, if we look at our question, we see that we have the slope, which is -3, and we're also given a point that's on that line, and we know it's a line because it is in slope-intercept form, and the point is 5, 10. So the method we want to use to find b, the y-intercept, is substitution. So let's take our information and let's start substituting it into our equation so we can solve. So we have a slope. Now the symbol for slope is m. So m is -3. That means our slope is -3. And we're also given a point on the line, which is 5, 10. And the first point, the first coordinate, is always our x-coordinate. And our second point, the +10, is going to be our y-coordinate. Now we could take this information and we could start substituting. So the y is going to represent the y-coordinate, which is +10. The m is going to represent -3. Now this is mx, so this means m times x. So we're going to do -3 times what our x value is. And as we can see, our x value is +5. And then we're going to put plus b. Now b represents our y-intercept. Now we don't have that in the information that's given, so that's what we're going to solve. So now we're going to solve and simplify our equation. So first we're going to start with -3 times +5, and a negative times a positive equals a negative. We're going to bring down the plus b, the equal sign, and the 10. And now we want to use our inverse operations to solve for b. We want to get the b isolated by itself on one side of the equation. So we want to think opposite, and how can we cancel it out? So instead of -15 or -15, we're going to do +15, and we want to do it to both sides. This way we could maintain the equality. So now b is isolated by itself. That's what we want. And now we're just going to do the operation, and 10 plus 15 is 25. So now we have our value for b, which is our y-intercept, which is 25. Now our final step is just to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to say y equals m, which is given to us, which was -3, times x, and then plus the y-intercept of b. But now we know it's 25, so we could write plus 25. And here is the equation of the line written in slope-intercept form. Let's do one more example. So here is our information that's given, and we have a line that has a slope of -4. We have a point on that line, which is -2 and -6, and we want to substitute to write this equation in slope-intercept form. So here we have a slope that's negative, and we have a point on the line that's also negative. Well, let's follow the process, and let's first write our equation that represents slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Okay, I'm going to put the information on the side. The m, which is our symbol that represents slope, is -4. And our point on the line is -2, -6. And right underneath it, I'm going to put an x, which represents the first coordinate, and a y, which represents the second coordinate. Now I'm going to use this information to substitute so we could start solving for b. So y is negative 6 equals, again, let's remember, mx. Whenever we have two variables directly next to each other, that means to multiply. So we're going to do negative 4 times the x value of negative 2, then plus b. And that's what we're trying to solve. B is our y-intercept. Okay, and now we're going to simplify the right-hand side. So negative 4 times negative 2, a negative times a negative equals a positive, so that's positive 8 plus b. And now we want to use our inverse operations to get b isolated by itself. So instead of positive 8, okay, I want to do the opposite, which is minus 8. And I'm going to subtract 8 to both sides. And now, okay, this cancels out. Positive 8 minus 8 is really 0, gets canceled out. So we have positive b isolated, that's what we want. And now we have negative 6 minus 8. Okay, so I can even write on the side horizontally. Sometimes it makes it a little bit easier. Now, if you could do this mentally, great. And if you know what negative 6 minus 8 is, okay, you could go right to the equation. Okay, but, you know, don't be afraid to change it to an addition question where we could do keep, change, opposite. So keep negative 6, change the minus to a plus, and the opposite of positive 8 is negative 8. Same thing here. We could do keep, change, opposite, and negative 6 plus negative 8. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to add than subtract. Okay, and negative 6 plus negative 8 equals negative 14. So now we have our slope, and we have our y-intercept, and now we can write this equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to start with y equals our slope of negative 4, and let's put the variable x next to our slope, and now we have a negative 14. So we can put the negative symbol directly in our answer and just write it as negative or minus 14. Or you could write y equals negative 4x. Instead of subtracting a positive, you could do plus negative 14. Okay, either way is correct. I like to put the negative in parentheses right here, okay, just because it might be a little bit easier to read to separate the symbols. Thank you for watching this video.